Have you ever been sitting quietly, and suddenly your heart starts racing? Your chest tightens, your hands go cold, your breath becomes shallow, and in that moment, it feels like everything is collapsing. Your mind panics. What's happening to me? Am I dying? Is this the end? If you've been there, I want you to know, you are not alone. Panic attacks strike without warning, and when they do, they shake the very foundation of your being. But perhaps what's even more painful is the fear that lingers long after it's over, the fear that it might return. That fear becomes a shadow, one that follows you, quietly, everywhere. But what if, instead of running from it, we could turn toward it? What if we could meet that fear, not with resistance, but with understanding? Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha taught a path that leads us out of suffering, not by avoiding it, but by gently walking through it. This video is an invitation. And before we go deeper, if you find value in this kind of content, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Your support means a lot to us, and it gives our team the encouragement to continue creating healing, meaningful content for you and for others walking this same path. Now, an invitation to breathe again, to listen again, to be present, even in the storm. Let's walk this path together, with compassion, with clarity, and with courage. Because the storm is not who you are. It's just a passing cloud in the vast sky of your mind. Panic attacks are often described as moments of intense fear that come without warning. A sudden wave of terror rising from within, consuming everything in its path. But from the perspective of Buddhist wisdom, these moments are not random. They are deeply connected to how our minds perceive reality. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from what happens to us, but from how we relate to what happens. Panic is a form of suffering, and in Buddhism, suffering is known as dukkha. Dukkha is not just pain or sadness. It is the fundamental discomfort that comes from clinging, from resisting the natural flow of life. When we experience a panic attack, our mind is caught in a powerful cycle, a cycle of fear, resistance, and the desperate need to feel safe again. In that moment, the body goes into survival mode. The breath becomes shallow. The heart pounds. The mind screams, "Escape! Escape, now!" But the real cause of panic is not the external world. It is our reaction to the inner sensations. It is the story the mind tells about what those sensations mean. The Buddha called this papanka, mental proliferation. It's what happens when one thought gives birth to another, and another, and another, until we are completely lost in a forest of fear. Let's take an example. You feel your heart racing. Instead of just noticing it, the mind reacts. Something's wrong. This is dangerous. I need help. I can't handle this. What if I die? That thought spiral triggers the body even more, and soon you're trapped. The original sensation was just a racing heart, but it became panic because of how the mind interpreted it. Now here's where the Buddha's teaching becomes incredibly powerful. He taught that everything we experience arises due to causes and conditions. Nothing just happens. A panic attack doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're weak. It simply means that, over time, certain conditions have formed. Stress, trauma, worry, over-identification with the body. And these have created the ground for panic to arise. But here's the good news. If something arises due to conditions, it can also cease when those conditions change. This is the heart of Buddhist psychology. We are not doomed to repeat the same cycles forever. With awareness, with kindness, with wisdom, we can begin to unravel the roots of fear. The Buddha never said we must avoid suffering. He taught us to understand it, to look directly at it, without turning away. Because only by understanding can we begin to transform. So, what is panic? Really? It is the body crying for safety. It is the mind overwhelmed by uncertainty. And it is the heart longing to be held. And in that moment, what we need is not control, but compassion, not force, but presence. When we start to see panic not as a failure, but as a teacher, something changes. Suddenly, panic is no longer the enemy. It becomes a mirror showing us where we still cling, where we still fear, and where we are still trying to hold on to what cannot be held. The Buddhist path is not about escaping life. It's about meeting life, fully, honestly, and gently. And that includes meeting the storm within. If we want to truly understand panic, we must be willing to go beneath the surface, to look not just at the symptoms, but at the roots, beneath the rapid heartbeat, beneath the racing thoughts, beneath the breath that won't come. There is something deeper. There is fear. Not just momentary fear, but primal fear. The fear of losing control, the fear of death, the fear of simply not being safe. The Buddha taught that all fear is born from attachment, from the mind's tendency to cling, to people, to comfort, to ideas, to the body, even to life itself. And the more tightly we cling, the more terrified we become at the thought of letting go. Let's take a closer look. When a panic attack begins, what do we feel? I can't breathe. I have to get out of here. I need to make this stop. I'm not okay. All of these are reactions to discomfort. The mind is trying to fix it, escape it, control it. But control is an illusion. Everything in this life is changing. Our bodies, our thoughts, our emotions. Even the ground beneath our feet is never still. The Buddha called this anicca, impermanence. And when we fight impermanence, when we cling to stability, to predictability, to control, we suffer. Panic is the mind's alarm system going off when it realizes it cannot hold on. When the illusion of control slips away, even for a moment, terror arises. This is why the Buddha pointed to clinging, or upadana, as one of the primary causes of suffering. We cling to health. We cling to comfort. We cling to the idea, I must always be calm. I must always feel okay. But the truth is, sometimes you won't feel okay. Sometimes your heart will race. Sometimes fear will arise. And that is not a failure. It's simply the nature of being human. The problem is not the fear. The problem is our resistance to it, our refusal to allow it, our desperate attempts to push it away. But what happens when you push away part of yourself? It pushes back. This inner conflict becomes the breeding ground for panic. One part of you feels afraid. Another part tries to suppress it. The struggle builds until it explodes. So how do we heal? The first step is to see the fear clearly, to recognize, this is fear. Not I am the fear, but fear is arising, and it will pass. We begin to create space between the sensation and the story, between the body and the belief, between what is and what the mind says it means. The Buddha also taught about anatta, the principle of non-self. This means that the thoughts, emotions, and bodily reactions we experience are not who we truly are. I'm panicking becomes, there is panic. I'm broken becomes, there is pain, and it's okay to feel it. When we stop identifying with fear, when we stop believing it defines us, its power begins to loosen, and slowly, the panic softens. Not because we forced it away, but because we stopped clinging to control, because we allowed the moment to be exactly as it is. There is a gentle freedom in surrender, not the surrender of giving up, but the surrender of opening up. of saying to the fear, I see you. You can stay as long as you need, and when you're ready, you can go. This is not weakness. This is true strength. To meet fear with stillness, to meet chaos with compassion, to stop running and start listening. The roots of panic are deep, yes, but the roots are not permanent. They grow in the soil of misunderstanding. And when we water that soil with wisdom, with mindfulness, with loving awareness, something beautiful begins to grow. Not more fear, but peace. The kind of peace that doesn't come from avoiding discomfort, but from embracing it with a tender, open heart. That is the Buddhist way, and that is the path we walk now, together. Now that we've explored the roots of panic, fear, clinging, and the illusion of control, it's time to ask, what do we do in the moment it strikes? What do we do when the heart pounds, the breath shortens, and the mind begins to spiral? The Buddha didn't offer magic. He offered presence. He taught us to meet each moment as it is, not as we wish it to be. And in the heart of his teachings, we find one of the most powerful tools, mindfulness. In Pali, it's called sati, the art of remembering to return to now. When panic arises, the mind wants to escape into the future, into catastrophe, into stories. Mindfulness calls us back, not to suppress what's happening, but to observe it, to breathe with it, to soften into it. Let's try something together. Wherever you are, pause. Feel your feet touching the ground. Feel your body sitting or standing. Notice, are your shoulders tense? Is your jaw tight? Now, bring your attention to your breath, not changing it, not fixing it, just noticing it. Inhale gently and exhale slowly. One breath, that's all. And as you do this, say silently, this is fear, and it's okay. I don't have to run. I am here, with it. This is the beginning of freedom, because the moment we stop fighting panic, something shifts. The storm may still be there, but we are no longer adding fuel to it. Instead, we become the sky, vast, open, able to hold even the darkest cloud. The Buddha used a beautiful metaphor. He said, if you add a spoonful of salt to a cup of water, it becomes undrinkable. But if you add that same spoonful to a vast lake, the water remains fresh. When our awareness is small, panic overwhelms us. But when our awareness expands, we hold the panic gently, and it begins to dissolve. One of the simplest and most profound practices is to use the breath as an anchor. You don't need to control it. You don't need to deepen it. You simply return to it. Over and over again, breathing in. I know this is fear. Breathing out. I hold this fear like a mother holds her child. It may sound simple, even strange. But this is how healing begins. With gentle awareness. Not pushing, not pulling, just being. There is also great power in labeling. When the panic rises, try saying, racing heart, fearful thought, tight chest, craving control. By naming it, you create distance. You remind yourself, this is a moment of fear. It is not forever, and it is not who I am. And if sitting feels too difficult, try walking meditation. Take slow, mindful steps. With each step, say silently, arriving, here, now. Your feet on the ground can bring your mind back to earth. And remember, you don't have to do this perfectly. There is no perfect breath, no perfect moment. There is only this breath, this step, this gentle effort. And every time you come back, from fear, from thought, from tension. You are planting seeds of strength. The Buddha often reminded his disciples, you are your own refuge. No one can breathe for you. No one can feel for you. But within you is the capacity, right now, to meet fear with love. And maybe today, you only remember once. Maybe tomorrow, you remember twice. That is enough. Because the path isn't about force, it's about remembering, again and again and again. So when panic arises, let it be your bell of mindfulness. Let it call you home, to your breath, to your body, to this moment, where true safety lives. Not in control, not in escape, but in your open, awake heart. Panic may feel like a sudden storm, but storms don't just appear from nowhere. They gather, slowly, from the conditions around them. And so does healing. To truly walk the path of freedom, we must not only survive moments of panic, but also nurture a way of life that brings steadiness, clarity, and compassion. The Buddha offered many tools for this journey. Let us explore them now, one by one. First, the practice of loving-kindness meditation, Metta Bhavana. When fear takes over, we often turn against ourselves. We become harsh. We believe we are broken. But Metta invites us to soften, to place a gentle hand over the heart, and whisper words the frightened mind has longed to hear. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be kind to myself. May I live with ease. You don't have to feel loving at first. You just need to begin. With each repetition, you water the seeds of gentleness inside. And one day, they bloom, quietly, into self-compassion. Second, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The Buddha described a path of awareness rooted in 4 foundations: the body, feelings, mind, and reality itself. We begin by observing the body, our breath, our movements, our posture. Then the feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Then the movements of mind, calm, anxious, tired, restless. And finally, we observe the nature of things, that all arise, change, and pass. When we train the heart to observe without judgment, we see fear clearly, without being overwhelmed by it. Mindfulness is not escape. It is returning, again and again, to the truth of this moment. Third, the wisdom of non-self, anatta. When panic hits, the mind cries out, I can't do this. I'm not okay. I'm falling apart. But the Buddha gently reminds us, these are not who you are. They are only experiences. Thoughts, sensations, and emotions are like clouds. They come and they go. You are the sky. By loosening the grip on I and mine, we find freedom. Not by erasing ourselves, but by realizing we were never the fear to begin with. Fourth, the healing power of mindful walking. Sometimes the body feels too restless to sit still, the breath too tight to focus. That's okay. Just walk. Walk slowly. Walk mindfully. With each step, say silently, I am arriving. I am home. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Let the ground carry the weight of your fear. Each step becomes a prayer. Each breath, a new beginning. And fifth, noble friendship and spiritual community. Healing does not have to be a lonely path. The Buddha said, spiritual friendship is the whole of the holy life. When we walk with others, with those who listen, who understand, who support us, we find strength we didn't know we had. This may be a meditation group, a Dharma teacher, or even a single friend who holds space for your fear without judgment. And if you don't have that yet, let this space be your beginning. Let these words be a reminder. You are not alone. You are never alone. These 5 tools, loving kindness, mindfulness of body and mind, insight into non-self, walking in awareness, and the support of noble friends, are not quick fixes. They are practices, ways of living, ways of coming home to yourself, over and over again. Some days will be easy, some days will not, but every return to the breath, every kind thought, every mindful step brings you closer to peace. Not because panic disappears, but because you are no longer running from it. You are walking through it, with eyes open, with heart soft, and with the wisdom of generations before you. This is the long path, the patient path, the Buddhist path to healing, and you are already on it. You've come a long way, not just in this video, but in your own journey. You've looked at fear, you've touched it with presence, you've sat with it, walked with it, and perhaps even softened around it. That, in itself, is an act of deep courage. The Buddha never promised that suffering would disappear. He promised that we could understand it, and through that understanding, we could be free. Panic may still arise, the heart may still race, the mind may still tremble, but now, you are no longer helpless. You are no longer trapped, because now you carry tools. You carry perspective. You carry the seed of awareness and the gentle strength that grows from it. When panic visits again, you don't have to fight it. You can bow to it. Like a wave, it will rise, and it will fall, and you will remain still, grounded, compassionate. Let that be your practice. Not to resist life, but to receive it fully, breath by breath, moment by moment. Because healing isn't a destination. It's a rhythm, a returning. Each time you come back to the breath, you are healing. Each time you offer yourself kindness, you are healing. Each time you choose presence over panic, you are awakening. And remember, you never walk alone. There are countless others, right now, also breathing, also trembling, also learning to befriend the storm inside. When you speak about your healing, when you share your journey, you light the way for someone else. So if this video brought you peace, or even just a small shift in how you see fear, I invite you to share it. Like it. Leave a comment. Subscribe if this is a path you wish to walk further. Your voice, your presence, may be the light that someone else is waiting for. So as we close, let's return to one final breath. Inhale, gently. Exhale, slowly, and silently say, "May I be at peace. May all beings be at peace." Wherever you are, whatever you face, please remember, you are not broken. You are becoming. And the path of peace is already unfolding beneath your feet.